Hi, everybody. So let's talk about car racing. Right, in the previous intro episode, I kind of touched upon kind of a couple things if you want to start car racing. And again, I cannot emphasize this enough. It's not about taking your car to the highway and doing stupid things with a lot of other people who have no idea what you're doing. So go to the track, find the right places with the right experts, with the right car and equipment, and protect yourself, right? And then you're gonna have fun. So what I mentioned last time was like kind of two potential or three paths for if you want to start car racing. So first one is I'm going to cover two of them today, and then the sort of the other one about karting and more I'll say more grassroots car racing and even competitions in the next episode or a couple, because there's a lot to be said there. At least I love this stuff. But one easy, cheap, quick way to get started is what I call, and it's known as, not just me, track days. If you own a sports car, it's very likely that there will be track days for your car. I'm talking about the BMWs, the Porsches, Corvettes, of course, even the higher end like the Ferraris, Lamborghinis. They will offer track days tailored to your vehicle. But if you don't own those cars and if you're looking just for the general experience on a track with some guidance and instruction, you can find also some organizations, associations that will do it. And I strongly recommend as a start that you look for those. There are different programs, different activities. You can go for a regular track day when there will be multiple sessions depending on what you're driving, your experience, right? Look for that if you're looking for those associations, because it's very important, right? You want to be sure that you're on the track with people with the similar level of experience, that they know what they're doing to some extent. It's not a race, and people need to understand that. You also want to ensure that there is some pre-selection process. You don't want to, show up to an event and you look around and you see, oh my God, right? I'm going to get on the track with these guys here. So some pre-selection is important. Therefore, if you look for an association, organization that organizes, coordinates these track days, even though there are many out there, be very selective. One that I am very familiar with, and full disclosure, again, I gain nothing from it. The president is my friend. His kids race. He races himself, and we race together. Is SCDA, Sports Car Driving Association, www.scda1.com. Just again, I have no interest, financial gain or anything. He doesn't even know I'm talking about it, even his name. But this is one that I've participated in many events. I understand how they organize themselves, how they separate the different sessions, depending on the type of car you're driving and depending on your ability and experience. So again, look for that if you're going to put your car on the track. And again, within those organizations, you will find different programs, right? There is, for instance, just this track day, you go there, bring your car, put some laps on the track. It's going to feel very different, right? You can really, really push your car. There are other, for instance, events like instruction, guided events where you're going to learn skills, right? You're going to learn how to drive your car better on a wet track, right? You can even learn how to drift. So you also have the experience to even become a better driver on a day-to-day basis just by participating in those events. So again, several different opportunities, cost wise, we are talking about a couple $100, to be honest, to take your car in one of those events, at least to participate. So it's a very low cost, low entry. If you want to get a feeling of car racing, again, you won't be racing. Let me stress that again, but you will get a feeling of what it feels like pushing your car to the limit in a safe environment. So think about that. Those are interesting options. So that is sort of the first step. Right? The second step is, okay, so now you sign up for one of those events and you're super excited. You're going to take your car there, whatever your car is. I got friends driving Honda Accords with a baby, a car seat in the back. Right, and the trunk full of stuff, and yet they took the car to the track and had a lot of fun, right? Of course, right? They're not at the same time with the professional, race ready Ferraris, but it doesn't matter, right? They had a ton of fun, and then further on, by the way, the same people, the Honda Accord, with the car seat in the back, participated in car control clinics. Also, something that you look for it. These are the skid pad, wet skid pad drive that I mentioned before. But it's okay, so you get it there, right? And you're ready to go. Make sure you have the safety equipment. Those organizations are going to tell you what is required, what kind of helmet is required. Not any helmet, right? Don't show up with your bike helmet. It's not going to be allowed. It's important that the organizations do not allow any kind of helmet, and they have the specific SAE or other minimum certifications requirements in terms of the safety equipment. If they don't, be very suspicious of what you're getting yourself and your car into. So look for that. Look for requirements in terms of safety equipment. Typically, if you don't own something like that, you can rent from them at a usually a very reasonable price. As well as other safety equipment. So look for that in the organization and then be sure to have what is required. And then the last part is what you do with your car. So if you're up for it, so far so good, right? I did mention it's about a couple $100 to get in, and then you get the equipment, right? So it's very low cost. However, I warn you guys, because I don't want anybody mad at me. If they listen to this and they say, "Oh, cool, now I'm going to go to a race, to a track day." Generally speaking, right, you're not going to push your car unless you do something really stupid. You're not going to push your car in terms of damaging the engine or the gearbox or the brakes, all right? But you will consume a lot of your tires. So you can check your threads, your tire thread before and after, and you see what I mean. Tracks, right? Race tracks are very abrasive. And you will be, even though you think you're not, you're going to start pushing your car a little bit more, right? So the more you skid on those turns, the more you're going to eat of your tires. So be very mindful that the main sort of degradation in your vehicle will be, in your day-to-day vehicle, right? It will be the tires. They can be costly, as everybody knows, right? A sports car, tire can go up to like $750, $1,000. So that becomes a very costly, fun day, even if you put a couple sessions there, right? Because your tires will go away and you will probably have to replace them. So that is the primary concern in terms of what happens to your vehicle. Of course, I'm assuming that you're going to have all the checks, right? The oil, is going to be appropriately filled up. The brakes are in good state, so you're not likely to, destroy your brakes within a few sessions. And same thing goes for the rest of the car. So again, your tires are going to go away. Be ready for it. If you put a couple sessions, maybe you're going to get away with it, but it will depend on, of course, how much you push. My personal own experience, every time I take my car to a track day, I kind of expect it to have to replace my tires. Right. Last time I did it, I just did 2 sections, and I did push the car, and a lot of fun. And by the end of it, I'm like, okay, great. There goes like about $2,000. So add that to the cost. Again, car racing, it's not cheap, and you will spend a lot of money even without noticing. But it's still a very affordable entry-level way to get to know a little bit of the feeling of racing, of driving, a car, not necessarily a race car, but driving a car in a more aggressive manner. So think about that. That's an option. The other option that I talked about is a racing school. There are many, okay? I am not gonna focus on one and another. You can look them up. There are several good options out there. Those are more like lesson, instructor-based approach. Also, you will not be taking your own vehicle to the track. You're going to use one of theirs, which again is great because you keep your vehicle safe and you don't get to wear out your tires. However, the vehicles that you're going to drive will depend on kind of the program you sign up for. You can go for anywhere like a Mazda Miata, which is pretty fun to drive, by the way, all the way to driving a Formula 4, right? So think about that as an option. Again, slightly more expensive depending on the kind of program that you sign up for, but you can get even your racing license certification through one of those programs, right? So it is, again, another alternative. I don't need to explore it in much detail because those schools will provide you with a lot of the sort of what is needed, what it looks like, what you're going to be doing, how much it costs, right? So just look it up. It's another interesting alternative if you want to start in this world. You want to get a feeling for it and see if you like it or not. The last part of this especially if you drive your own vehicle on track days, is insurance. Your insurance company will not cover, your auto policy will not cover damages that occur on a track. I'll tell you right now. So what you want to do is perhaps buy additional insurance. There are additional insurance, carriers that will offer you for a track day. They are not very expensive because it limits the the number of days, right? You're going to be insuring your car. So it's an interesting option. I've never had, or I've seen some accidents that just people just pushing too far and going off the grass and out of the track. But I've never seen anybody significantly damage their cars. Of course, if you Google, you will see a lot of people doing a lot of stupid things on YouTube. I've never seen it. And I particularly never had insurance myself. So it's a risk that I'm willing to take because I kind of know what I'm doing. And I know how much I want to push the car or not, and myself. But consider that. It's an interesting option if you want to make sure you're extra safe. The last part, and again, I'm not saying I did it. I heard other people consider doing it, and I'll be very careful with this one, is you can rent a car, and instead of using your own vehicle, and I might regret for saying this, but I heard people have done it. You rent a car and you take that car to the track. Okay. The downside of it is, very likely the car you're going to rent is not going to be very exciting. 2, if you still crash the car, if you still damage the car, you still have to pay for it, right? And whatever insurance you get, even from the rental company, it will not cover for it. And on the negative side, in addition to that, probably you'll never rent a car again with that rental company. So Again, I wouldn't recommend doing it. I've heard people who did it, and I think they got away with it. But in the event that something goes wrong, it's something that I think the costs are way, way too high for you to try something like that. So, I've always driven my own car, pay for my own tires, and if something happened, I was going to just pay for it. But those are very interesting options. It's a lot of fun, both of them. I've done both of them, right? I've done some school in the past, a long time ago, racing school. And I've done, of course, track days, driving even different cars. You can rent different cars. There's another company that I work with a lot. It's called Formula Experiences. They're based in Virginia. They're actually based on VIR, the Virginia International Raceway, right there on the track. I also know the owner. I work with them. They have several different race cars, from stock cars to Corvettes to Formula 4s to race ready Camaros, old BMWs like 1986 M3s, stick shift. Lots of fun to drive, very difficult, right, to drive it fast, but it again pushes you to your limit in terms of driving abilities. So they have very many options. It's a little bit of a mix, right? It's not they do offer schools, a driving school, but at the same time you can rent their cars and take them to the track. So again, it's a hybrid between the track days where you take your car and the pure schools where you're going to sign up for a program. Right in the middle, Formula Experiences. Peter, the owner, is an awesome guy. And again, I had the chance to work with them for a couple of years ago when they started operating, especially when they're on their Formula 4. And it's a lot of fun. Again, safe environment, you get some instruction, it's their car, they have a different variety of cars, so you can test different things. They will teach you the basics, and everything is super safe. So again, that's another recommendation out there that I'll just throw out. And again, Peter has no idea I'm talking about him, but look it up. Like him, you can probably find some other options in the US and overseas. Overseas is even easier in Europe. Those are my sort of pieces of advice if you want to start car racing. And then in the next episode, and maybe the next couple of episodes, I'm going to talk about more grassroots racing, like kart racing, and how you get started and what are the benefits and the main differences from driving your own car or from renting these race cars or from going to racing schools, right? It's very different, but I think it's way more fun and you'll learn much more. More to come on the next episode. Thank you very much. Bye.